Now, more of Patricia Raskin, Positive Living, on News Talk 630 WPRO and 99.7 FM. To speak with Patricia and her guest, call 438-WPRO or toll free at 1-800-321-WPRO. Now, here's Patricia Raskin.
Well, hello, everyone, and we're back. I'm right here, Patricia Raskin. And, you know, I'm very excited about this next guest, and I have a story around her. First, I'm going to tell you about her, and then I'm going to tell my story. Her name is Priscilla Warner. I knew of Priscilla about, I'd say it's 7 or 8 years ago now, when she was the co-author of the New York Times best-selling book, The Faith Club. And I'm going to tell you all about that. First, I want to welcome you. Welcome, Priscilla Warner.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Well, first I want to tell the story, Priscilla. I've got to go back a little bit, but I do want people to know that Priscilla is a native of Rhode Island and of the Providence area, and so that's very exciting. She's in New York, but I'm so happy she's on the show. Now, we have a lot to talk about, but let me tell you the background here. So about 7 or 8 years ago, I read the book The Faith Club, and I was very taken by this book because it was a book about 3 women who started meeting for coffee, and they started having chats. And this grew into a meeting about faith and what did their faith mean to them. Priscilla's Jewish, and then there was a woman who was a Catholic or Christian, and another one who was Muslim. And these stories became dialogues that 3 women had. Well, I want to tell you, Priscilla, that I was living in North Carolina at the time, and in very much of a Bible Belt, and everyone was reading the book there. And I interviewed you and the 2 other women, and you'll tell me their names in a minute. And I went to one of the book clubs where I was living, and I actually taped excerpts of that interview that I did with the 3 of you, Priscilla, and I played it at the book club. And we talked about the book because they were reading it. And what I think is so really eye-opening about this is that from that book sprung interfaith dialogues across the country. People were creating faith clubs so that people of different religions were sharing what they felt. So I just want to say, Priscilla, that I think what the 3 of you did was amazing, and I want to thank you for your work.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that story, and thank you for spreading the word of the Faith Club.
Tell us about the 2 other women quickly.
Rania Ittleby was my Muslim co-author, and Suzanne Oliver was grew up Catholic and had converted. I guess she's Protestant. She identifies herself.
And these were deep discussions, right? I mean, these were discussions about what does this mean to me from 3 different perspectives. And what I thought was great is the way this spread around the country. And now, am I right about, was it 7 or 8 years ago?
Yes. Well, we came together in the fall of 2002, so that was 10 years ago that we got together and met.
Yeah.
And then the book probably came out, I think, 2005, maybe?
And that's I was there then.
Yeah.
And I came here at the end of 2007, and then I think you and I corresponded because by then I was here and was so excited that you were in Rhode Island. Now we're going to fast forward to our dear listeners. 2 years later, I get a press release that Priscilla Warner's written another book. And I said, that's it. Got to get her. And it's called Learning to Breathe, My Yearlong Quest to Bring Calm into My Life. Now, this is a different kind of book, but it's also very eye-opening because so many people suffer from whether it's depression or whether it's anxiety or whether it's panic attacks. And what Priscilla did is she wanted to find what her issue was for her panic attacks. And she went on a quest to find out what she could do to help these attacks. And she did, and now she's helping thousands and thousands of people. And I'm going to let you carry on with really how you went about this. I know this was something that you said there has to be an answer. And you read about Tibetan monks who meditated effectively, and you said, I want their brains. So carry on.
Yes, I did. I had monk brain envy.
Love it.
Everywhere I went, we went on this incredible, never-ending book tour, as I called it, for the Faith Club. And we went to cities all over the country, synagogues, mosques, churches, community centers, schools. And everywhere we went, we spoke. People shared their stories with us. Very honestly, we shared our stories with them. And I did talk about my panic attacks a little bit in the Faith Club, and a lot of people would come up to me and say, I suffer from panic attacks too, but I really felt like nobody understood the way I felt, that here I was, that I was a bit of a fraud, that I would take Klonopin, which was an anti-anxiety medication that was very helpful, and I'm not anti-medication at all. It helped me to have a life, to have careers, to have my family, to function in the world on a daily basis. But I felt every time that I spoke that I was a little bit broken, even though, here I was standing up in front of all these people talking about this wonderful spiritual journey, but I had this shameful secret. I had my first panic attack when I was 15 years old in Providence at the Brown University cafeteria. I was a waitress. And I went to Lincoln School, a girls' school on the east side of Providence. I was a good Quaker girl, a Jewish girl at a Quaker school. And it was not co-ed, and so we a few of us signed up to waitress at Brown back when it was a single-sex school. It was Brown and Pembroke. And I said, I wanted boys to notice me, but on the other hand, when I had this massive panic attack out of the blue, I just hoped nobody was looking at me. It was really scary.
And so you've had to live with that.
Yes.
And somehow you said to yourself, well, I'm going to do something about this. Priscilla, this is so well written. I want to read this from the cover of the book because I think it really captivates who you are and what this was for you. Priscilla Warner had a great life, and she has had a great life. A supportive husband, a flourishing marriage, 2 loving sons, and her best-selling book, The Faith Club. Despite all her good fortune and success, she suffers from anxiety and panic attacks so debilitating that they leave her unable to breathe. She's tried self-medicating in high school with a hidden flask of vodka and later with prescription medications, daily doses of Klonopin with dark chocolate chaser. After 40 years of hyperventilating and an overwhelming panic attack, that the ultimate wake-up call, Warner's mantra becomes, neurotic, heal thyself. A spirited New Yorker she is, she set out to find her inner Tibetan monk by meditating every day, aiming to rewire her brain and her body from her frayed nerves. And so she has gone from panic to peace. And that's what we're talking about. So for those of you out there, folks, who suffer from panic attacks, you get anxious very easily, call in because Priscilla really has found a way to help and heal herself. And now she's helping and healing thousands of people. Call us at 438-9776 or 800-321-9776. All right, my dear Priscilla, ta-da, how did you do it?
Well, I'm not a completely serene Tibetan monk, I have to say. I really feel moments of incredible serenity. I was cured and healed in many powerful ways. But, life is hard. It's hard, as one of my Buddhist teachers says, it's so hard to be a human being. So, but I knew that meditation, I'd always wanted to find a calm place deep down inside me, and I actually thought that these Tibetan monks might be onto something. So I started. There was one monk in particular, Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche. It was a young Tibetan monk who had suffered panic attacks as a child, and, in my mind, meditated his way out of them. He'd written 2 New York Times bestsellers. So I Googled him. I started this. I had written a book proposal, and I had identified him as a person I wanted to study with. And he was leading a 5-day, mostly silent retreat the day after my birthday, which is when I was starting the book Birthday to Birthday. I kind of constructed it a year. And so I signed up for this retreat, and I went to an old monastery, what had been an old monastery, about an hour and a half away from my house on the Hudson River in New York. And I got there, and I kind of freaked out. I was texting my husband silently and saying, what was I thinking? Like, I'm not Deepak Chopra. Here I am sitting here popping Klonopin on a retreat where I'm supposed to be calm. But when I sat in this hall and this wonderful young Tibetan monk started describing his experience, he said, I grew up in the Himalayas, wonderful parents, blue skies, no iPhones or Blackberries, but panic followed me like a shadow. Tears started to roll down my cheeks. I just thought on the other side of the world, this person understood how I'd suffered and what anxiety was. And, we all suffer from it. Life is difficult for many people at many different levels. And so I connected with this person who really was my first meditation teacher. He was a great teacher for a first teacher. I highly recommend his books because...
And what did he have you do?
Well, he understands Western culture, so he knows about our short attention spans. And I think the best advice he gave me was to mix up your meditation practice all the time. He started off by saying,